day at home in the home office, and I wanted to talk with you about how to field trip when you are stuck at home. These days have been very interesting for us. We have had lots of practice because we have been homeschooling for 7 years. But for a lot of our friends, it is an adjustment to be home with the cherubs on a regular basis and then to not have the ability to do things like field trips. And so it is a perfect time to start doing some creative field trip. And lovely of those very smart individuals at the zoos, at the national park, at museums to come up with ways in which families can still participate in art and culture, still participate in having field trips, but yet still be home and practicing social distancing. So I want to talk with you about a couple of things that I found that will allow for you and your cherubs to go on virtual field trips. And so the first one that I found was the Cincinnati Zoo. So we're in Michigan. The Cincinnati Zoo is not that far from us. And they have a wonderful program because every single day at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on the weekdays, this is the weekdays, they, at the address that you see on the screen, they literally have a live stream. And what they do is they highlight an animal that one of the exhibits, they highlight one of the amazing animals that they have. And you get to see a whole program of these awesome creatures. And they even have a workbook or they have an activity that you can do at home with the cherubs associated with the live stream. So how cool is that? They totally make things a lot easier as far as not having so much cabin fever, but really getting an opportunity to virtually go on a field trip. Very cool. Who else is doing this? Well, the San Diego Zoo is also doing this. So what the San Diego Zoo does is the San Diego Zoo has live cams all over the zoo. And these live cams are in the different exhibits, and you can tune in to that address and you can see the live cams, check out the animals and what they're up to. And then you can also peruse the archives because the archives has amazing footage as well. And it's a great place to go on a little adventure at the San Diego Zoo without ever having to fly to San Diego and do that. Now, if you live locally, of course, I'm sure you've been to the zoo in real time, and this is still going to be a treat. So those are the zoos that I found. The next item is the national parks. Okay, so we know that we have some amazing national parks and they range in the kinds of things and the kind of environments they are, from wooded environments to rocky environments, right? So like the Grand Canyon is a national park and it's pretty rocky. Here in Michigan, we have Sleeping Bear Dunes is a national park, and so is it is totally slipping my mind, but the park that's right on Lake Superior, and I'm sure that when I'm done with this live, it's going to come to me, but that is also a national park. And so we have access to these online through the footage that the National Park Service has been so gracious to put on their YouTube channel so that we can be on an adventure even though we're in our houses, right? The next one is, so we talked about a couple of zoos where we can go on adventures. We've talked about national parks, which gives us tons of adventures. Now let's talk about art and culture. So Google has this amazing project. It's called Arts and Culture, and is a collaboration, a collective, where they have basically partnered with about 500 museums across the world. And we're talking about top-notch museums, world-famous museums, and even some museums that you may not necessarily think about, but maybe like the Potato Museum or maybe the Quilting Museum in Kentucky. If you can imagine it, it's there. And so this is available to you, and you can go on a virtual field trip to check out some museums. The other part of this is that in that same collection is the Google Art Collection. And that is where you have access to over 1,000 pieces. So you can literally look at these pieces. You don't have to travel to the Louvre. You don't have to travel to the Uffizi in Italy. You can literally get on here and virtually travel across the world and appreciate the art that is out there. Now, very recently, I was able to, I basically picked up on a couple other things. Like, for example, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York is also offering some virtual experiences. I believe that this week they are offering their shows virtually. And so you can access those for free, which is amazing because their stuff is absolutely phenomenal. So there are way more than this, and I definitely compiled a list. I've been looking around, figuring out some really cool items that could be put on this list. And so if this is something that's interesting to you, definitely reach out to me. I am more than happy to pass that on to you, because guess what? Who doesn't need a good list of items that you can do with the kiddos while you guys are all home? So I hope that was helpful to you. If it is, definitely let me know. If you're watching it live, thank you so much. If you're watching the replay, please hit me up and say #replay. And again, enjoy your time with your families. Enjoy this time, even though the circumstance under which we are put in it is not pleasant. It can be seen as an opportunity to grow together, to learn more about each other, and to have some new adventures together. So I hope that you will be strong, be brave, and unleash your greatness. This is Dr. Charmaine Gregory, and that was some ideas for how to go on a field trip even though you're stuck at home. Take care.